You get up in the morning, and you get up in the morning, and every day when you get up in the morning, your attention is taken by what you can look forward to today. That comes into your awareness. What can I look forward to today? And your attention is taken by what do I don't like today? What do I don't want to happen today? Right? So there's hope, there's wishfulness, there's prayer, there's optimism, and there's fear and insecurity and confusion and the desire to be safe and escape. Sound familiar? And this just runs. This is not something I'm necessarily aware of in terms of that it's running. And it's not something that I necessarily stop and look at. Yeah, so once I start practicing meditation, I have access to attention. I can start to look at this and start to see, is this working? How does this work? You know, why is it that I never arrive where I'm going? You know, why is it that I never get to experience peacefulness as a constant? Why is it that I never get to experience satisfaction, well-being, and happiness as a constant? You know, it comes and it goes, you know. So I get up in the morning and every day I'm chasing it. Every day I'm looking to see what will make me happy today. Is it a person? Is it some food that I'm going to eat? Is it some activity that I'm going to do? And I try and organize my life in order to pursue those things so I can experience being happy. And then the other side of the coin is, you know, what might happen today that I don't like and I don't want? So I can plan my day around it. So I can plan my day to avoid it, right? Or I can be on the lookout for people who I don't like. I can be on the lookout for people who I'm uncomfortable with, people who challenge me, people who are unstable, right? People who I'm afraid of, right? Like that. And I can also be on the lookout for people who I do like, people who attract my attention, who have the kind of body that I'm interested in, right? Have the kind of appearance that I'm interested in, behave in the way that I'm comfortable with. So I'm going to seek more of them and try and stay away from the others, right? And so this is the program that's running all the time. It's running all the time. And it's leaving me in a state of constant concern about tomorrow, you know. I don't want anything to happen tomorrow like what happened in the past that I didn't like, that was hurtful or painful or suffering, right? So this is the life that I'm living, and there's suffering going on here, and there's dissatisfaction here, and there's discontent here, and there's restlessness here. Yeah. So at some point, either I notice that, and because I notice that, I start questioning this situation I'm in. I start questioning the programming that's determining my behavior, and the programming that's determining whether or not I'm happy, and so forth and so on. And then I become a seeker, right? I become a seeker because now I've realized that this isn't working, or I may have come across some teaching that points out that this isn't working, and when I read that teaching, I looked and I realized that's talking about me. That's my life that's not working. And so then the process starts where the seeking begins to occur. And one of the things that this process begins to make available is the possibility that happiness can actually be experienced consistently. I start to get interested in that possibility, that peace can be experienced with some degree of consistency. That I can be satisfied, I can be peaceful, I can be happy. Sounds like a good possibility to me. Spiritual teachings talk about that, the possibility that I can be content and peaceful and satisfied and happy. And one of the things that I realized by studying the teachings is that the personality that I think I am and the physical body that I think I am can never be happy. That can't happen. That will never happen. Cannot be happy. And not only is that the case, but then I begin to realize as I practice these practices and I study these teachings that it can never be happy. And the primary reason that it can never be happy is because it's not real. It's not real. The personality can't be happy because the personality doesn't exist as an actual awake awareness. It doesn't exist as that. It exists as a belief that I have about who I am that keeps playing in my thinking activity and keeps playing in terms of the way I associate my identity with the physical body. Keeps playing that way. And what I discover as I continue along in this process is that if happiness is a real possibility, if fulfillment is a real possibility, if peace is a real possibility, if satisfaction is a real possibility, then it's not going to happen for me as a personality, and the personality is not actually real. So now I have to start to practice paying attention in such a way where I can watch this unreal personality occupying my attention. You follow that? So now I can watch, because I've learned to pay attention. I've learned enough about what's true and what's not true. I've learned enough to understand why my life isn't working, right? And so now I'm paying attention in such a way where I want to watch this unworkable system working, and I want to see how it had me identified with it. It had me identified with it. I thought I was the thinker of my thoughts. I thought I was the physical body. Had me identified with it. But now I realize that there's a possibility of recognizing that while it's had my attention and had me identified with it, it's possible for me to pay attention in such a way where I can realize that my true nature, my actual nature, my real self, my actual self, the one that's really alive and aware, right, has been here all the time, but I didn't notice it and I didn't pay much attention to it because I was identifying myself with something that I wasn't, that everybody else is identifying themselves as that thing as well, that they aren't, right? And so now I'm beginning to see this world of suffering, this world of ignorance, this world of ignorance. And then when I say ignorance, I mean this world of the collective population of humanity ignoring reality. That's ignorance. The collective population of humanity ignoring reality and suffering and trying to get the world they believe is real and the identity they consider to be real to work. It's a day in, day out job, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, right? Years and years and years go on, right? And people just keep chasing the dollar, keep chasing happiness, keep chasing satisfaction, keep chasing peace of mind. They believe they get bits and pieces of it here and there. They believe they do, even though that's not true. Because if you've never experienced happiness, how would you know if you did? If you've never experienced happiness, and how would you know if you did? And if you've never experienced happiness and you've been conditioned to believe that happiness is a function of having what you want, that's what you've been conditioned to believe happiness is, right? So the game's on. Now you're chasing getting what you want so you can be happy. That's the game everybody's playing. And no matter how much of it you get, right? No matter how much you can be a billionaire. There are billionaires that this is available to see. All you got to do is look. There are billionaires, right, that are dissatisfied and even miserable. And it wasn't the money. They discover it wasn't the money, because if it was the money, I'd be happy, right? So I got the money, but now I'm still not happy. So what am I missing here? What am I missing? I could be one of the richest people on the planet, but I'm still not happy. So what else is there? Oh, I know. I'll become president. Then I'll be happy. I'll be the most powerful person on the planet and be a billionaire. Then I'll be happy, right? And so I use all my resources, and I use all the skills that I've learned, to get what I want, right? To get that, right? And then I get it, right? And now that I have it, it seems like I'm happy now. I'm gratified because I have it. Not only do I have it, but there's nothing else that I could want. What else could I want? I have all the money that a person could possibly have, and I'm the most powerful person on the planet. What's next? What else can I want? Well, what happened is that person discovered, oh, now I have to be afraid of losing this. That's what's next, is keeping this so I can stay happy. And by the way, that person, while that process is going on, that person isn't realizing that you're not happy anyway, even though you are the most powerful person in the world. They're not noticing that. That's ignorance, right? Because they're ignoring that, right? You can get so busy chasing happiness that even when you get everything that you think will make when you get everything that you think will make you happy, you don't notice you're still not happy. And you don't notice you're still not happy, but you have to pretend to be happy because, after all, look at what you've accomplished. Look at part of being the most powerful person in the world, part of being the president, part of being a billionaire is you want to look good, you want to be admired. That's part of your ego, right? And so you have to do things to demonstrate that you're happy and that you've succeeded and that you're in control. I won't go into any more detail about this particular person, right? You can look at it for yourself. The evidence is clear, right? But it's no different than the rest of the human lives on the planet, And the possibility for happiness is only available when you realize your true nature. Possibility for happiness is only available when you realize your true nature. And your true nature is called the natural state. Your true nature is called the natural state because anything that's natural is untainted, right? Anything that's natural hasn't been modified. It hasn't been changed, right? It's in its original form. It's natural, right? And so that's what this is all about, discovering that you, in your original form, in your natural state, without anything added to it, without anything changed about it, is happy. It's already the case. It's there. It's right now. It's there. It's happy, right? So once that becomes something that you recognize, right, then it's interesting because then the situation changes dramatically. Now instead of trying as a personality and a physical body to get what you want, now you're trying to get rid of all that. Now you're trying to let go of all that. Right? Now you're trying to realize that the identity that kept being generated by my thought process is something that I want to get my attention out of. I want to get my attention out of it because when my attention is in it, then I'm in the form of the body and the personality and there's no possibility for happiness. So I have to get my attention out of it. If I can get my attention out of it, right, and stay out of it, if I can get my attention out of it and abide in the natural state, haven't you heard that? Haven't you heard that? Abide in the natural state. If I can get my attention out of it, I discover that when I'm not in it, I'm in the natural state. And when I discover that I'm not in it, and of course it's important to understand something about that Paul Hederman said, right, that can make this process much easier than it would otherwise be. You don't have to get out of anything you're not in. Right? So the first thing that'll occur to you is I've got to get out of this identification with these thoughts. I've got to get out of this story that I'm identified with called my life. I've got to get out of this identification with this physical body so I can be free from that, and then I'll be happy. Right? Well, the next step in the process is to realize that won't work either. That won't work either because who is it that's going to get out of that? Right? You see the trick? The personality has tricked you into bringing it along for the ride. Right? Oh, you can get enlightened, but I want to come. You can get enlightened, but I want to be the one that gets enlightened. Right? So that's not going to work. Right? And therefore, you have people like Paul Hederman saying you don't have to get out of something you're not really in. Oh, I don't have to get out of something I'm not really in. So if I don't have to get out of it and I'm not really in it, then all I have to do is notice that the truth is already the case. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to change anything. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to get better. I don't have to do anything. But then the next thing that comes up is, well, how do I not do anything? I've lived my life doing things. I thought that was the only possibility. If I want something, I have to do something to get what I want. And now you're telling me I can't get this by doing anything. I can't get this by changing anything. And not only can I not get this by doing anything or changing anything, but It's even worse or better depending on how you look at it. I already got it. I already got what I already got what I thought I didn't have. I've always had what I thought I didn't have. So now what do I do? Well, you know, then the possibility becomes available for you to discover that you don't do anything, because you don't have to do anything, because doing anything would only make sense if you didn't already have what you have. Would only make sense if you didn't already have it. But since you already have what you have, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. So then it becomes a matter of practicing being who you already are. And therefore you have the teaching that I've been relaying to you based on this fellow that wrote the book called Watching Your Life. Why watching your life? Because that's the only possibility. Why watch your life? Because when you're being the watcher of your life, when you're being the awareness, you're experiencing the natural state. And if you're experiencing the natural state, you're happy, peaceful, satisfied, and relaxed. So that's the process. And the reality of it is that I say that's the process, but in the end you discover there is no process. There is no process. You're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to learn anything. Nothing's going to change. No wonder this is not attractive to most people. You're not going to get anything. You're not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to change. You're not going to be more in control. You're not going to realize anything. You're not going to succeed in anything. You're not going to accomplish anything. You see how it rails against everything that everybody believes is the case? It rails against it. It's radical. It's very radical, right? As a matter of fact, not only is it radical, but it's literally unbelievable, right? Literally. If you look at what the teachings teach, right, that about who we really are and about what the truth is, right? From the view of a personality, that's unbelievable. Nobody's going to believe that. Nobody's going to believe that. That's one of the reasons why this is so unpopular, because it doesn't offer what people believe is the source of happiness. It doesn't offer that. It doesn't give you anything. You don't get anything out of this. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. I remember back in the 70s when they had the S training out, right? It was interesting because the S training was based on Zen. It was based on Zen teaching. You know, Werner Erhard was a Zen student, right, who found a way of reproducing the experience that Zen makes possible through this 60-hour course that he designed, right? And so what he did is he set it up in a way where you would do this training, the S training, you would do it as a person and a personality, right? And it would take you through all these steps. He remembers it would take you through all these steps of analyzing how the personality works and what doesn't work and learning about it and so forth. So you're in this training and you feel, oh, this is great. This is great. You know, I'm finding out how to live my life in a way that will produce the results that I really want more than anything else, right? And so you keep going. There's anatomy of the mind that's presented in, anatomy of reality is presented in this teaching, right? And so all of these teachings, these things that are presented in these teachings that come from spiritual teaching, right? And then you get to the final day of the training, and they used to have this part of the training called getting it, you know? And they used to say that on the final day of the training, you'll get it, right? And the people that had done the training would share with other people that, oh, when you get what there is to get, you'll realize how powerful the S training is, right? And it became very, you know, fashionable, and, you know, they had centers all over the country and everything. So what happened on Sunday is, Sunday afternoon when it came time to get it, right, everybody's excited, you know, today's the day we're all going to get it. We've been learning about how to live our lives, and now we're going to get the final solution, the final answer to living life. And so at about 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, on the last day of the S training, the trainer brings everybody back from their meal break, and he says, okay, now is everybody ready? This is the getting it part we're going to get. Are you ready to get it? You know, and everybody's on the edge of their seat. Yes, what is it? And they say, okay, here it is. Here's what there is to get. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to get. And some people would laugh, right? Other people would get pissed off and say, I want my money back, right? And say, and the trainer would take these people on one by one, and he would stand up and say, okay, what's your problem? Well, I'm angry because I didn't get it. You didn't get what? I don't know what I didn't get, but I didn't get whatever I thought I was supposed to get, right? And then the trainer would say, well, then what did you get? And the person says, nothing. You got it.
That's good.
And the thing that's interesting about that is that isn't that the same thing as I was saying before, that there's nothing to get, there's nowhere to go, nothing's going to change, right? So what the Yes training did is it put people through a process to build their hopes, to build their hopes that based on all the understandings that we're going to give you, you're going to arrive at a place where you're going to become enlightened. You're going to get what there is to get that all humanity wants to get, right? So it's a setup. It's a setup. And then when you get to the place where you tell them there's nothing to get, right? It's kind of like there's a possible moment there where the truth can hit, There's a possible moment there when it becomes possible to realize that I am it. What there is to get is me. I am it. And I've always been it, and nothing has to change. All I have to do is get that I am it. And what is it? This is it. So, it's interesting because after people go through that, they get lit up and turned on, right? They get lit up and turned on, and then they go and share with the people in their life and their family, oh, you got to go do the Yes training because you'll get it. And they know they're setting their family up to go and get nothing. Well, basically what it boils down to is you have to try and get what you already have.
They see it, right?
Well, you are seeing it. Okay? You have to try and get what you already have. You have to try and experience what you're already experiencing. And so when meditation gives you a process, right, where you can do that activity, you can try and get what you already are experiencing, right? And through trying, that's how the Yes training works. Through trying to get what you already are experiencing, you build up this anticipation, you build up this desire, you build up this interest. You get. It's like, oh, it's promising me something. It's promising me happiness, right? And so you go through this process to try and get it, right? And the only possibility of actually getting it, right, is the discovery that you can't try and get it, that you already are it. But you can't get to that without trying to get it. Right? You have to leave. You can't appreciate being home until you leave home and then go back there. What is that? There's a Bible story, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Where one of the father's sons left home. It's a famous Bible story.
Prodigal son.
Yeah. That story is a metaphor for human life. You have to leave home in order to know where home is. Otherwise, you'll be home all the time, but you won't know it.